Hey everybody, what's going on? Brother John here, and welcome to another edition of God Talk. And today, I decided to uh, do the topic benefits of meditation. Um, and what led me to do this is I originally was going to do a different topic. And for those who already saw the previous topic, I thought it was a little bit confrontational. For those topics okay, but here we are, March 1st, and I wanted to start off the month, I guess, kind of on a positive note. So I didn't want to start on that kind of note. So maybe I'll just save the topic for later, or we'll discuss it off air. I don't know. But I wanted to talk about really the benefits of meditation. So again, start off something positive. And I have here joining me, Ermine, Carlton, Roy, Sappho, Idol Smasher, and Xbox, and maybe they'll like to give some of their input or any kind of experience they had with meditation. Um, I think one of the misconceptions is that meditation is necessarily have to be a religious thing. I don't believe you have to believe in a god or a supernatural to actually meditate. You can just we'll call contemplation. Some people just like to get out in nature and you know be connected there, and that's their way of meditation. But um, I've decided for this month, I'm going to step back a little bit and really concentrate more on meditating. So this is going to be a whole new learning experience for me. I've noticed just for the past month or so that I haven't got into my meditation or contemplation often enough, and especially when you're dealing with a lot of these hangouts, there's a lot of negativity that goes on, and been looking at that too much. So I've decided to, for myself to kind of dedicate this month to getting more focused. That's for me. And meditation helps me do that. So I wanted to share my thoughts, and maybe this will be a benefit to anyone else who's kind of feeling the same things, that I have. We all are human beings. We all have the same feelings, emotions, and we all deal with things differently. And but so I just wanted to give my perspective. Um, Meditation for me is about getting more centered, to getting balanced, um, and a lot of times I'll use sometimes just sitting in quiet, being in nature. Sometimes it's music. I'll listen to chants, and these kind of things are very good for meditation. Um, a lot of it is about your breathing too. Um, and not so much concentrating on it, but just trying to. Usually, when I start meditating, I like to take a couple of deep breaths. It kind of gets me more relaxed. Listen to some music, and then just try to be kind of focus. Right? Yeah, focus, Roy, on. Excuse me. Hold on. I'm getting some noise in the background. See, it's things like that interruption. Some of the benefits that have been told about meditation is that it helps lower your blood pressure, um, your heart rate, helps with anxiety as well as depression. Um, so that could be that are some of the benefits there is being centered, as I said before, being balanced. Um, and I think even in meditation, we can also gain insight, intuition, an awareness. For me, a lot of times it's being a feeling of kind of connectiveness to the universe or source, or God, if I may. And these things again could be done through music, nature. I find if, especially if you're in a good climate, if you can get in a field or on a beach barefoot and just you kind of feel connected to the earth. I think that's beneficial to the meditation as well. If you can't go outside, people have used candles, meditating on a flame, or even just some nice pictures that that brings good feelings about. Think anything that's going to help you relax and get focused. Uh, Also, good to be quiet too. Have a quiet time, nobody around. Definitely, that's definitely I would say is needed. Um, so yeah, I mean, I've been just for me, guys. Yeah, I think I need. I'm gonna kind of dedicate this month to more meditation and actually even getting back into some music. I'm finding I need to get into do more positive things. Pick up the guitar, fiddle around on the keyboard. I'm no musician. I just improv, but I find that very meditative as well. And um, I think that's about everything I could share in a nutshell. I you know, I had some moment of meditation before I came onto the Hangout, and I always just it just does feel different. Even just for a few moments. That's another thing I wanted to share as well. Some feel like because there's all different types of meditation out there, and some feel like they have to do it a certain amount of time to get any kind of benefit, and that just puts anxiety, I find, on you. Just if you can only do 10 minutes, you know, as long as you can, then fine, and then you just find that longer and longer you can go meditate, need be. So, you know, for me, it's very free flow. Um, So yeah, there's my thoughts, and I really think about meditation is beneficial. Help people get focused, inspired, direction, and yeah. Has any of you guys, anyone on the panel here, your experiences with meditation? I know we have a couple of Christians here, and I'm sure they could talk about prayer, and maybe they find some of the same benefits, of course, from prayer and being connected to create the God and Creator. Guys, thanks for hearing me out.
Yeah, John, good stuff. For me personally, I love meditation. I'm hearing my echo. Test. I think it's Xbox. Um, yeah, I think there's some feedback, Nick. Thank you. Yeah, John, I agree with everything you said. Um, for me, meditation and prayer go hand in hand. Prayer and meditation go hand in hand. Prayer for me is talking with God, and meditation is listening to God. And not necessarily to that small still voice or that thought that I just had, but meditation is anything that is true that I can sit there and ponder and just in solitude, I'll take something that is true, some piece of truth, and I'll just focus on that for, well, as long as I can focus on it. And yeah, I've learned aromatherapy. A friend of mine got me into aromatherapy, so my wife has gotten me all kinds of really cool scents. And so my office is just my sanctuary, so to speak. And yeah, it's necessary to center yourself, to get you back on course. And yeah, I'll just end with my best definition I ever heard for focus, and it comes in the form of an acronym, and I'll post it on the side chat as well. Focus: follow one course until successful. So many people are multitasking these days, and I don't think you get anywhere fast by multitasking. Not to say you can't do it, but you don't give your full attention to each particular thing that you're doing. So focus means one thing, and just follow that all the way through to its conclusion. Thanks for the opportunity, John.
Oh, not a problem, Roy. And yeah, you did bring up a good thing that I didn't, I forgot to mention. That's the scents. Yeah. Um, something that smells good to you, sweet aroma, right?
I love it. I love it. I never used to be into that, but a friend of mine kept telling me how she was doing the scented candles and the scented oils, and so I told my wife, and she says, "Oh yeah, no problem, honey." So the next thing, I've got all these scented candles. I got baked cookies. Did you guys know that the scented candles come in baked cookies?
Yeah.
Love that.
You can get really good ones around Christmas time, especially.
That'd probably make me hungry than anything. Probably take me off my meditation.
And I kind of agree with you. If you, oh, go ahead, Roy. Go finish what you're saying.
No, I was just laughing what John was saying. I'm done. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, no, I agree with some of the last part. I had to miss what you said, but the first part about like not always having to be a religious thing or even necessarily the word spiritual unless you use it really loosely. I would agree that it's kind of it can be a spiritual experience because of the more you do it, the more practice, the better focused at things you actually get. And even in today's society, a lot of people end up using medications for almost that exact reason without ever exploring some of these things. Like I have a panic disorder. I cannot sit here and meditate and think my way out of a panic disorder because it's a chemical imbalance. But there are slighter versions of that where anxiety and stuff like that you can. And the focusing thing, it not only helps you just with your issue that you're having there, but when you can kind of lighten up and focus, it actually you almost train your brain almost like a muscle memory that it helps even when you don't have to sit down for 30 minutes and try to meditate. Things can happen a lot quicker where you actually focus better over time, which I think is pretty neat. And I'll add some more later. I just wanted to throw that out there.
I have a question on it for you guys, or for really anybody. How is meditation different than prayer?
Meditation doesn't require an outside agency.
Yeah, Ermine, for me personally, prayer is when I'm petitioning the Lord, whether it is something I want specifically or need specifically, like, Lord, I need wisdom, blah, 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 here's my situation. I mean, he knows it all, but saying it out loud and or, in thought patterns, my mind is on me and my needs. That's the prayer part. And then the meditation part is, okay, now that I've asked for wisdom, I'm just going to be quiet. I'm just going to be still. I'm going to try to focus on one particular thing, like the answer to this question or prayer that I've asked. So the meditation part is the being still part, the removing all thoughts as best as possible, and just wanting that one thought from the Lord to come in. If you're doing it on a regular basis.
Meditation has no particular purpose in of itself.
Go ahead, Zadie.
I'm sorry.
Meditation in of itself has no particular purpose. It's sort of letting the world go by and watching it happen, and whatever comes to you. There's no particular purpose to it in that sense. In the same sense as prayer, anyway.
Well, I think it's just very subjective. I think for many, it is beneficial.
Yes. I don't disagree that it's beneficial. I think it can be beneficial, certainly. But I'm not sure that there is a purpose to it in the same way of, like Roy said, when he prays, he's petitioning the Lord. I don't think meditation has a purpose in that same sense.
Well,
that's not to say that.
Where my quandary was actually going to be is sometimes when you're praying and you are petitioning your deity or your God or whatever it is, a lot of people see that as you're just giving a name to another part of yourself. So some people do definitely think they are petitioning to something outside of their self, and some even that think that are still actually just petitioning or are just petitioning to another part of their self and just calling it this God. Does that make any kind of sense. Where it's almost, to some people it is almost the same thing as the meditation.
Yeah, because I'm struggling with it when we say that they're the definitions we've used so far, because a lot of meditation that I've read is there's chants, there's things that you're saying, and in those chants, and gosh, everything from universal, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I can't even use some of the language when it's translated. It's a little bit woo-woo. So I'm wondering how it's not very similar to prayer.
Well, I would say that certainly people that I know meditate will sometimes, they may use that kind of language, but the language in of itself is not important. You know, you could use any set of words. You know,
Right.
the words themselves are not as important in the same way as they are in prayer.
Then why do you repeat them so often?
It's to I suppose it's to. I'm trying to find words here and I can't. The repetition element is, as I understand it from people who when they meditate repeat things, it's to sort of get their mind thinking in a different way. It's you know, it's just a sort of background noise, I suppose.
I've heard there's meditation that is for, like, you want to align your focus, or you want to get rid of negative energy, or, you know, I'm just trying things. But then there's also some where you want to quit thinking.
Yeah.
I think it's quick charging of the mental battery.
There are you know, a million and different ways of meditating, and there are a million and different purposes for doing that. So I'm sure that's the case for some people. But I can only speak about the way that I meditate and the way that people I know meditate have told me.
Yeah, I mean, meditation basically depends upon the individual, where they want to come at it from a biblical perspective or a non-biblical perspective, and the two are not related. I mean, there's some overlap, but it's the starting point and the ending point that's completely different.
Yeah.
Just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah.
So here's one of them, and Dee pointed out the word mantra. That's exactly what I was trying to articulate. And in this it says, we're affirming to ourselves and allowing its meaning to seep deep below the surface into our subconscious, helping to shift our negative habits and patterns into positive ones. So that's just one, and they say, Om Gom Ganapaya Nama, a prayer to the Ganesh, remover of obstacles. Like, there's just numerous ones. Om is the one we know so much, so, you know, and that's why I'm asking it. And there's a certain, you know, you're supposed to vibrate it at a certain number, 432 hertz. Who knew that? It's just fascinating.
Yeah, I think, you know, a lot the repetitiveness, like you were saying, I mean, does help to get focus. You know, to empty your thoughts. I don't think personally you can, you know, go with no thought and have no thought.
No.
I've heard sometimes this is the goal. I don't think that's possible.
No, I don't think. Well, this is.
Yeah, I think you just
letting in whatever comes.
You kind of lessen the thoughts, you know, and that's why you do the chants or you're praying. You know, for the Christian, it'll be, you know, Jesus. You know, Hindus, it's Brahma, and other words. These words to help us to change our focus and to get into that state of mind.
You're right, Cider. The idea isn't to try and stop any thinking at all, because it's pretty impossible. The idea is when the thoughts come in, you just let them drift straight out. Don't focus on them. Don't upset. You know, just let it flow through.
Well, I
think it's the same kind of mistake that people make when someone says relax, and when they say you must totally relax, and people take that to mean that you must sort of let every muscle in your body go limp, and that's not relaxing.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a lot.
It's getting into a comfort level.
I think I'm probably going to get some flack, but I think the whole thing about meditation, I think in a lot, not totally. Let me start off by saying not totally, but I think there's a lot of this that is very woo-woo, if you will.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'm not dismissive of the idea. I think that I think ultimately, I mean, this is my opinion, but I think that that's what it is. It's, for example, I'm an AD&D person, okay, and for me to meditate, okay, if I can use that word, is to get to the same state that I would get to when I take an Adderall, and that is to be able, for my brain to be able to dismiss all the non-relevant ideas that I don't want to deal with at a particular moment in time, and to concentrate and be able to focus primarily on a single task at hand, kind of what Roy had talked about. So, I mean, for me, it's, you know, when I'm programming, okay, if my focus of attention is competing with not only the programming, but when my wife is coming back, is the laundry done? Do I need to mow the yard? What are my neighbors? You know, if I have 5 million ideas and they're all on equal footing, I can't accomplish anything. I am paralyzed because there's too many thoughts. And I think in terms of meditation, whether it be Adderall or whether it be some other form, I think the goal is to be able to teach our brains to be able to eliminate the things that we really do not want to be thinking about at the current moment in time. They're sort of just intruders. They're like weeds in a garden. And I want to be able to get rid of them and focus on the thing I want to focus on. That's kind of what it is for me.
That sounds spot on to me, Carlton.
Yeah. Well, that's not what I would. That's not what I would aim to get out of meditation. But you know, as I say, there are a million different ways of going about it for a million different reasons. So that's.
Well, I do it, and I'll add a quick thing. Like, as a matter of fact, while you guys were talking, I was just trying to tune my cello. It's the only thing I can do reasonably well. But I noticed, like when I play my cello, it has such, and maybe this is where the chanting that Ermine was talking about. For me, the cello music, the sound of the cello, is such an overwhelming presence that it literally pushes everything else out, and it sort of fills the room, if you will, in my head. So when I play the cello, I can relax because all of a sudden everything else goes away, and all there is, however badly, is the music. But that's what I want. I want everything else to go away, and then when it's gone away, then I can put the cello away, and then I can try and sort of re-engage, you know, with the world again.
That sounds, yeah. I mean, at the risk of sounding like some woo-woo twonk, it is about being in the now.
A twonk? What is a twonk?
Idiot.
It's someone who's not.
That is.
If someone who's not a complete twat.
Yeah, you're an idiot. You're a twonk.
Yeah,
it's,
you know,
it's a Britishism that's not used enough.
No, it's not. I'm reintroducing it.
It's from people who live in not America.
Yeah, which is known as the rest of the world. But yeah, anyway, so back to. But yeah, what you're doing there, Carlton? For you. Sorry.
Go ahead. Finish what you're saying, Dee. Go ahead, Dee.
I was just saying, so for Carlton, and I imagine other people with ADD, what from the sounds of it, what you're doing and what you're trying to achieve is spot on. For and
I think too. It's like I said, yeah. And again, I'm kind of, the cello is sort of my new method of doing this. So everything kind of now is right about that. But I think for that, I think there's something else too to the cello, and it's probably true of any kind of thing. Ermine, what was that phrase that you used before your mantra?
Om.
Yeah. Well, it was a more complete sentence, but okay.
Could you do that on cello?
But I think, well, not at that frequency. I'm stuck at 440. I'm close. But the point being, though, is, like she said, it's supposed to be at a specific frequency, and I found that interesting because I think that's weirdly sometimes what helps us relax is to actually think more, not less, but to become sort of absorbed in the thing that we're thinking about, to let it take over so that nothing else pesters us. It's like with the cello. It's not that I just push a button and sound comes out. I have to work at the sound and concentrate on it, but I get so absorbed in concentrating on it, I forget about everything else.
Exactly.
And that's kind of where the relaxation.
I used to get that same feeling playing sports, right? Like you're so intent on
in the zone.
In the zone. That's exactly.
In the zone, exactly. Yeah.
And nothing else matters, and you're just, you're lighting it up, you're shooting it up, and I don't know.
Some people do with art too,
I think
calligraphy is sometimes a form of meditating for some.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing, if you get your frequency just right with your the vibrations will help clear your sinuses.
Yes.
Okay, this is sounding wooey now. Is that true?
It is true, yes.
That is true. It's very, very, very difficult to do.
Yeah, it gives me
And it's not a complete cure. There is something to that, yes.
Colin's trying to find that Om for us.
No, I'm just playing just notes because that way I can ignore you all, and it works really well. No,
I'm sorry. What were you saying?
What was I?
Miles away.
Oh, but I think that's what I think Insider. I think that's one of the other pieces to that, whether it's meditation or cello playing or playing sports. I think when we are in the zone, right? I think everybody kind of understands what that means. There seems to be this natural loss of time. We don't realize how long we're there. You know, we look up and it's 3 hours later, and we're going, "What the hell?"
Been there, done that.
as opposed to being at work in a job that you hate and trivial, and you're sitting there in the afternoon staring at the freaking clock, and every minute is painful. Yeah, it's sort of being in the zone. Like I said, everything it transports you into another dimension. That sounds wooey, but it does in a way. Yeah, you're unaware of your surroundings anymore.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm no musician either, and I was just sharing earlier. I have a keyboard, and sometimes I get these really cool ethereal sounds, and I'll just improvise, and time can go by really fast when you're just playing around.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that remember that Next Generation Star Trek episode where Picard found himself on the planet where they had developed this ability to sort of slow time down and sort of like view a hummingbird or a butterfly in slow motion? Okay, maybe not. Have you ever experienced that where you see something about to happen and it seems like the entire world slows down, where you're watching it almost frame by frame, when really it happens maybe in a fraction of a second, but yet it feels like it took an hour to happen. You guys ever feel that? Have that?
Yeah, that happens at 10 to 5 when you're at work, doesn't it?
Well, I meant in a good way.
Or maybe when you smoked a little too much there, Carlton.
I don't know what he could have meant.
I'm always curious with people, and I don't know who, a couple people said they meditated. Is there like a position that you find the most comforting while you're meditating?
Lying down.
What was that, sorry?
Is there a position that you find the most comforting while you're meditating?
Lying down.
For me, it's not so much about the position; it's more about the moment and how well I'm doing it.
Yeah, a position actually hurts me when I'm trying to relax, because then I become, I don't know, for whatever reason, I start concentrating on position, and that sort of heightens my awareness of the moment instead of letting it fade away.
Well, see,
it keeps me in the moment, which I don't want.
See, that's why I like lying down.
Really?
Meditation, what I'm reading right now about meditation is there's two ways of looking at it, is what it could do to the individual, but it also looks at like what it can do to the world, because I'm looking at some of these chants, and it's things like blessings to the world, or sorry, they're kind of far out here. Let's see here. This is one of my favorites. May the Lord protect and bless us. May He nourish us, giving us strength to work together for the good of humanity. May our learning be brilliant and purposeful. May we never turn against one another. So it just sounds something more than like meditation. It sounds, I don't know if the whole world is moving to that frequency. Gosh, it sounded really new agey. What could happen?
You think that sounds new agey? I usually listen to new agey chill out music when I meditate. Like the sounds of the forest and that shit.
Ed, nothing wrong with that, D.
No, there is. I don't think so.
Not at all. Especially if you live in the city and you can't get around nature or something like that.
Yeah.
CDs like that, whatever, tracks like that definitely help get those sounds of nature.
Yeah.
The birds. or water, being by a creek or something, just seeing the stream go by.
I'm
That
alright with
sound
some
of
water. The biggest problem with the sounds of water is just as I'll be relaxing, I think I've got to pee now. So. Actually, just mentioning it, I feel like. But yeah, I agree. So yeah. And if you fall asleep, there's nothing wrong with that. It's all part of meditation, by the way.
Yeah.
It is weird even to kind of do my cello thing. I'm thinking of all the, and John, you play an instrument, right? What do you play? Guitar, John?
Yeah, very little, yeah.
But okay, but it's kind of the same thing in my mind now. I'm thinking of, when I sit in a lesson, the teacher is pointing out 20 different things, sort of, that she wants me to kind of control, if you will, at the same time, right? The height of my left elbow, the height of my right elbow, the fact that I'm not doing my wrist, I'm doing my arm, the pressure I'm putting on the bow, keeping my thumb loose, and all of this, and so forth and so on. And when she gives me that as a list, I literally can't do it. Any particular one that I happen to be focusing on at the moment because you just slapped my knuckle, everything else falls away and falls apart, and then that one gets a little attention. But it's kind of like when I find I relax, when I'm not thinking about it, when I'm not trying to do those things, it seems like my brain is all of a sudden, instead of sending out 20 individual signals to try and control these things, it almost seems like it sends it out as sort of a packet that just has all of that in there. And everything kind of just falls into place nicely. As opposed to when I try to, okay, I'm sorry, I know I'm babbling, but it's kind of like tennis. The guys who play tennis a lot, it's kind of like tennis. It's like that, when you're serving or even hitting a ground stroke. You're trying to think of, okay, where's my wrist? Is it pronated? Where's my shoulder? Are my knees bent? Are my hips turned? Am I contacting the ball in the right place? Yada yada. But after a while, it sort of becomes a non-thinking thing, and you recognize it when it happens. Like I said, you get in the zone. All of a sudden, I'm hitting aces 2 and 3, 4 one after another. I could never do that in a lesson because I'm thinking about it too much, and it's almost like trying to let my brain not think about it consciously, but let the subconscious kind of just take over and control things because it seems to do a much better job.
I remember speaking to an artist. He had kind of the similar thing, he puts up this, he creates art for himself, people compliment him on his art, but once someone starts asking him to do something for them and, they describe what they want, for him, it throws all that, that free flow away, because now he's got to think about what he's got to do instead of just being in the moment and creating a piece of art. So a little bit like that. I think of people who have writer's block as well. Sometimes, they might belt out a great book. They just did a free flow, whatever, on their own time.
Well, what do you think of this?
Now they're under a contract to get a book out. They get a writer's block.
Well, I think part of it is pressure, but here's a thought though, and I don't know the answer. I'm curious what you guys think about this. If I concentrate on my music, I don't hear what you guys are saying. It's just background chatter. But when I concentrate on the chatter while I'm still playing, right, all of a sudden I'll realize I'm playing, and I have this sort of notion that's like, wow, that playing was so beautiful. But what I wonder is was it in fact any better, or was it that it allowed me to imagine that it was better? And I don't know that it makes a difference, but is it, when we focus on one thing, does it take away the critical aspect of our thinking so that we think that the thing that we were doing on the side or without being aware of it actually was somehow a better quality, when in fact it may not have been, but it simply allowed us to believe that it was, and therefore maybe it's a nice way to pat ourselves on the back. We allow ourselves to imagine that what we just did was much better than we could ever have really done, and it's a confidence builder. Do you think?
I don't know.
Here's what I think. I think that when you focus on more than one thing, you can't have 100% on both things.
I don't know. I think y'all making it so complicated.
Yeah, it did sound like I kind of got lost a bit there.
Tell us, Sappho.
What?
Tell us, Sappho. Go.
The way how I meditate, I just lay down and just fall asleep. That's the best meditation. Not only do you get the rest.
LOL.
Does it require a shot of whiskey afterward? I mean, does whiskey help?
before.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
I'm sorry. I was just
You
kidding.
get to organize your data in your head. I mean, that's the best way. Side effects may include
Sleepiness, closing eyes,
nightmares, maybe,
nightmares. Okay, well, nightmares works.
and hunger, because all that energy, got to go somewhere.
So the question becomes, do you have to be conscious in order to meditate? And if you're not conscious, is it meditation?
I would say it has to be conscious, but that's just me.
And now, see, I would disagree with what Roy said. Roy, I would disagree with what you just said a little bit ago, that if we do more than one thing, we can't give anything 100%. And the reason I disagree with that is because I think there's sort of this idea there that anything that you do is in fact one thing. Even if I'm focusing on writing a book, that entails many tasks. Everything does. So I don't know that there's any meaningful distinction between doing one thing and doing two things. Because I think we're always doing
it's kind of like
200 things.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's to your point, Carlton. It's easier to play the cello when someone says play the cello rather than concentrate on the elbow, the waist, the bowing, tuning, whatever. It's somehow easier sometimes just play.
Well, there's a YouTube video somewhere. I saw it this long time ago, but it's probably still there. And it's a guy that was out west, and he had this particular method. He would teach people how to shoot a gun, right, at clay pigeons, okay? And what he would literally do is he wouldn't teach them how to do it. What he would do is he would take people who have never shot a gun before at all, and literally shoot the clay pigeons and make them instinctively pull the gun and shoot. Don't think, don't plan, don't aim, don't do anything. Just pull the gun and shoot. And most of the people would have a 60 or 70% hit rate out of the gate without ever trying. And then as soon as he would start to teach them, it would fall down to 10% or less. And of course, his argument is that it's our brain that gets in the way a lot of times. That if we can relegate it, if we can relax to the point that we can sort of take this control mechanism, its tight grip off of things, that the subconscious actually can get these things done far more efficiently and smoothly than it can when it has to struggle with our conscious brain going up, down, left, right, no, up. It can't function anymore. We've sort of
hold on loosely.
Right.
Yeah, I think to your point, Carlton.
There's a difference between.
Sorry, Hemming, go on.
There's a difference between if you want to be a novice or if you want to be an expert. I agree with what you're saying in terms
I do too, yes.
If you want to be an expert, but no matter what, if you're seeking, a novice, if you're seeking to be an expert at something, it takes years of painful technique and precision and getting that well, so that way when you do sit down to play, I'm sure Yo-Yo Ma doesn't have to think anymore, right? It's just it's him. He's transcended it, and that's what I like to think of meditation as well. Is if you practice the fundamentals, you might be off the bat 60%, and then somebody tries to teach you the fundamentals, and you go down to 10%. But there's no way to getting to 90 to 95 without mastering those things.
I absolutely agree with you, and again, it's like that in tennis. You're right. I could take somebody that's never had a racket before, and I could say, just swing. Don't think about anything. Just swing the racket, and they will. They'll do much better than if they initially tried to put it somewhere. But you're absolutely right. That's be great on your first match. But if you actually want to get somewhere, and I think that's what it is. I think you have to go back to square one, and that battle between conscious and subconscious has to get played out, and it has to get played out enough that the technical precision that really is required gets embedded into the subconscious. So then at some point the conscious mind can let go, and you'll still get the same level of performance or even better. Yeah.
I think going back to something you said much earlier, because I wish I could remember who it was. I saw a program some time ago, and it was about concentration, especially if you're like studying for exams and then things like this. It was quite interesting because some people need sort of as much silence as they can get and no distractions whatsoever. Other people are the opposite, and they almost need. And I'm one of these people. Like, even just getting into a book that I enjoy, a lot of the time, I need music so I can distract from the music to concentrate on what I need something in the background.
Yeah.
So I can force myself to distract to get into what I'm doing. If I sit in complete silence, I find it very difficult. Well, not that you ever get complete silence. You'd like complete silence, wouldn't you, darling? Sorry, distracted by someone there. You see, if I've got very little noise or nothing in the background going on, I find it very difficult to concentrate on what I'm doing. Weird, isn't it? And yet others are the opposite.
Yeah, I'm the same. I can't do concentrating on silence. I actually find it difficult to go to sleep without some form of background noise. It's really weird. But yes, I think you're absolutely right. There's this level of sort of where the brain needs something at least subconsciously sort of focus on and keep some level of attention on it.
I'm trying to think what
it's strange.
Program. But funnily enough, the last doing it was a violinist. Maya? No.
I'm wondering if meditation is effective with intention as it is without intention. Like, can you meditate? Can you meditate without intention? And is it as effective, or does it start with an intention?
Interesting.
You must have intention, yeah.
I think this again comes down to your definition of what meditation is and what a meditative state. Because I have found that sometimes if I'm listening to music that I know quite well and there's no words to it, it's instrumental music and it's on a loop, and so it's sort of in my background. I sort of sometimes, not always, but quite often will go into this sort of meditative state. Where I was talking about, sort of just seeing what comes into your head rather than trying to get rid of everything, just sort of being receptive. So I think it's possible to get into a meditative state. Now, whether that's actually meditating, I'm not sure.
Without intending to.
I'd have to get back to.
No, I just wonder about that power of intention. We all sit down and we start with if you can go in there with a blank slate and keep a blank slate, or if there's something that you're intending to take in or put out. Because I don't know if we all sit down and decide to meditate without getting something from it or giving something, if this is fair to the universe.
Yeah.
I definitely meditating. I definitely have an intention there, and as I mentioned earlier, it's intended for me to kind of get balanced and focused, and especially if there's a lot going on, so many things going on. I just need to get in that place, and hey, a scripture: "Be still," right? Be still and know God, right? And know He is God, right? I still like that scripture. And just need that stillness so I can, again, get my balance. So that's my intention right there.
Yeah, I was going to say, when I meditate, my intention is to meditate.
Yeah.
You got the intention is not to have an intention. That's an intention. So you can't get away from it. But some intentions are much more powerful than others. And I think that's what you were asking, Hermine. It's not so much, whether there's an intention or not, because there always is. But how powerful is that intention, and do you walk away with that intention realized?
Can I just say that the time I find it easiest to meditate is usually after I've done any Qigong for years. It's a bloody shame not to get back into that. But after I've done Qigong in the past, or if I've done some yoga, or if I've done a bit of gentle Pilates, and then I will relax and meditate after that, I find that's usually the best time. It's not the only time I meditate, but I find that's usually the best time for me.
Maybe this was while I was muted, but are there people in here that actually think there's an outside spiritual connection when you're meditating, or do you actually think that it's more you centering yourself to communicate?
I guess that's all depends on who you're asking here. So
yeah,
right. Well, yeah.
As an atheist, on some levels, I would say no. Now, the only caveat I'd go with there is the old sort of koan of, are you doing the universe, or does the universe do you? You know. So, in that sense, possibly, but only in that sense.
Or is it both?
Well, I tend to think it's both, but but yes. So in that sense, yes, I suppose there's an outside connection, but it's an outside connection that you're also inside.
I always see it as it's me internally, actually, not having like a full control over my body, but my thoughts can affect the way, almost like a psychosomatic thing. Like it can affect how my body reacts to things, how bubbly my chemicals can actually get to an extent. A thing like that, if that makes any kind of sense.
Yeah, you are what you think, kind of. Well, no.
Well, yeah. I mean, clearly. I mean, when I go like to the doctor, or if I take my own blood pressure, I can. I hate to use the word concentrate because I'm not really concentrating on anything, but I can relax to the point that I can see my pulse rate slow. And I can relax to the point that I do see my blood pressure dropping. I don't have a sensation associated with that is the problem. In other words, it's not like I can close my eyes and I can run my finger along the desk and I can do it very, very lightly, but there's some sort of there's a tactile feedback that I can tell if I'm successful or not. But where lowering my blood pressure, there's no feedback other than if I look at the meter. So I don't really know if I'm doing it or not, which makes it a little bit more difficult, I think.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it goes to me the question I was asking earlier. How do you define success in meditation?
I don't. Only because I don't. Like I say, I don't really go into it with any specific intent, or with any specific target, I should say.
I would say I don't know the success, but a failure is if you get up and you're very tense and agitated. I'd say that's perhaps a fail.
Well, could you have a utilitarian sort of way to evaluate it? So, in other words, when I meditate, because I'm going to, let's say, start a programming session, if I spend more time in meditation than I get out of productivity programming later, then it was a failure because the intent was to help me accomplish my programming more efficiently, I would think.
Yeah, well, that's.
In other words, if I spend an hour and I get a 5-minute benefit to my programming, that was a waste of time. I could have just done it. I could have just done my programming and you've been done 55 minutes sooner. Now, if I can meditate for 5 minutes and then do in a half hour of programming what I would normally take an hour to do, then it was beneficial.
Do you not see that like anything else though, like doing sit-ups? Like the first time I do sit-ups, maybe I can do 5. I don't see much of a benefit, but the more and more I do it over time, the actual longer and more benefits I get from it.
The same often can be with meditation, is that the more you do it, that generally, like the quicker you'll get into a meditative state.
That's true. Well, Dee, you mentioned earlier, and I didn't hear you say exactly, but everybody in the room, I'm curious, if you can remember back to when you were a child in school, or maybe college would be fine, when you had homework, did you lock yourself in a room and demand quiet to do the homework, or did you lay down in front of the TV with a pizza and do homework?
I had to have the radio on.
Whatever, D was hitting the bong.
I didn't do homework.
I was not hitting the bong at school.
I was gonna say the problem with that question, Carlton, is that it assumes I actually did much homework.
There was that. I did assume that. Yeah.
I was like, no, I ain't doing this homework. That ain't happening.
Well, it seems
Brother
like to
John.
me, it's like, oh, God, John. Yes, please, John. What about you?
No, Sappho is.
Sappho. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sappho is it.
With his hypno icon.
Brother John, would you like me to get out so you can invite Green Souls? Because I think he'll be.
Actually, let me step out because I only meant to be here for a short time anyway, and it's been really fun. But I do have to do some work, so I'll make room for Frank. And ciao, everybody. I'm off to meditate and do a little bit of work. Okay.
Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, catch you later, Carlton.
But yeah, Xbox, in answer to your question, because I assume you're aware, because I know you said you were BRB because you had a phone call or something. Yeah, I am one of those people that I need a distraction so I can force my brain to stop paying attention to that so I can make it pay attention to what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I have found I was like that when I was younger. As I've gotten older, I need complete silence. I actually even hate work environments that are these open cubicles and open floor plans and all that. I need to shut the door and crank.
Yeah, I must admit, the older I've got, the less I need a distraction.
Yeah, see, when I was working, when I doing computer-aided drafting, I would shut my door to my office if I really needed to concentrate and get a lot of work done. And maybe I need a self-distraction like music playing or something like that, but more human distraction and outside noises or cars, stuff like that was something that it didn't consciously, I guess, distract me where I would go look out the window or something or go see what was going on in the other room.
Yeah, I mean, as an adult, sorry, darling, I thought you'd finished. Beg your pardon?
Say that again, sorry.
I thought you'd finished speaking, so I beg your pardon. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I thought you'd...
Oh, no, yeah, that was it. Yeah, I was...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, as an adult, I think that the one time I really could do with very little noise was when we were running the business and I was doing the books that took concentration. That was kind of like...
That's it. It's the concentration versus humdrum. If I'm doing something like, I don't know, that's just, just a task, repetitive, that's the music, I don't care.
Yeah. I can't do housework without music on. It just doesn't
happen.
Exactly. Well, there are things though. Like my first job was installing car stereos, and it actually led me into a degree in electronics. But even to this day, I can be on the telephone, talking, helping someone through a computer problem, upside down under a dash in a car, rewiring stuff, and not think twice about what I'm actually rewiring under the car. And have no problem with that concept. It's almost a second nature thing.
Yeah, it's a second nature. Yeah, I think there are things I can do second nature whilst, but not the books. I can't do maths and book
right.
and car wiring at the same time.
Meditation sometimes becomes second nature. I mean, if you do it enough, right? You could be like a situation gonna happen, and you just seem to find that moment, just take a couple of deep breaths and have a quick meditation if you have to.
Yeah. In fact, sometimes in the middle of doing my books, I would have to meditate so I could come back and without wanting to rip them to shreds. Where the hell's that receipt gone? Okay.
What about just like what you just said, Brother Joe? What about those like monks that meditate to where they're like don't feel pain and light themselves on fire and just sit there all happy and
lie on a bed of nails?
I don't know if I could do that. Lying on bed.
I don't think I could. I don't think I could separate my mind that far away. No. But I do kind of. I've heard at least that they actually do take a drug when they do things like that. That kind of does numb the pain from them.
1 to 2x absolute. As an atheist, do you meditate?
No, I can't say that I really meditate.
Well, how do you define meditate? Because my meditation would just be blasting Slipknot.
Okay, now if we're talking about distraction, yes.
Yeah, that's my meditation, and also a good drive, definitely a really long drive.
That goes back to what I was saying earlier about being in the zone, isn't it? Like sometimes I can put music on, and it can be quiet, meditative type music, or it could be Rammstein, however you pronounce it.
Rammstein. Yeah.
But if I can just sit there and get an Arabic music. Oh my God, I can be so lost in the moment with Arabic music whilst doing housework at the same time. Oddly enough.
Well, isn't meditation a form of distraction in itself, even though it's a?
But it is to help clear the mind, isn't it? Really, that's the main.
Right, and to me, that I would almost even say clearing your mind would be the distraction. Everything else going on around you, and you're distracting yourself from it by nothing.
I mean, I would say, for me, it's a combination of clearing my mind as much as possible and being in the now or being in the zone, call it what you want, hippie shit, woo-woo. That's what it is for me. And as I say, it can be listening to loud music, dancing around the living room like a twonk, because I can't dance, but I don't care. Yeah. Or it can be listening to some gentle, relaxing music, lying on the floor, and consciously thinking, relax your left foot, relax your right foot, relax your left, and going up the body that way, and feeling yourself literally. So yeah, it is.
Have you ever done like hypnosis? You remind me of like some hypnosis tapes that do that.
I haven't actually. No.
It's kind of the whole hypnosis meditation thing. That kind of it's a grey area of where the border is, though.
Yeah, I was thinking. It has a certain appeal to me. I've never actually done it, but I'd have to.
I've done what you're saying, Dee, and I don't know that I would. I've never tried the hypnosis thing like that, but I've done the relaxation techniques where you run it through your body, and then by the end of it, feel like you take Xanax, pretty much sometimes.
Mm. Oh yeah.
You become so relaxed from it.
I mean, there are times where I honestly couldn't tell you, have I just had a 10-minute snooze or have I been meditating? I don't know.
Right.
I don't care because it's had the effect, desired effect, so it doesn't matter. Right. And I use meditation techniques to get there, but it's kind of like I've no idea if I was just totally meditating or totally asleep for 10 minutes. I don't know. Who cares?
Does anyone know in here, like the actual scientific, like have brain waves and such been measured of people meditating and not, and in those states?
Care to look at that?
Oh yeah, I bet there's something on the Googles that will.
Yeah, I've never looked into that.
Actually, the question actually brought a little bit of it piqued my interest, and not in a good way. Only because I think if you try and scientifically assess or use too much logic, I'm echoing, as to what's going on in meditation, I think it's the wrong direction to head.
Sorry, I didn't catch all of that. Can you say?
Someone made a statement. Has anyone tried to scientifically measure or capture what's going on in brain waves and that dynamic when someone is meditating? And like almost brought chills up my spine, because I actually think that's the wrong thing to be doing, is trying to understand it at that level. And I don't know if you'll see the consistency through and through, and there's just so much variation. It just seems like that's one of those things that just is.
Yeah, no, don't. The correlation that I was looking for was because I know there are different brainwave states and such whenever people pray and stuff like that. It was more is there a correlation between these brainwave states when someone's meditating and a physical response in the body? Because I know we can correlate those in other things. When brain states change, we can see other changes in their bodies. Oh yeah, I wasn't trying to say just measuring a brain state means that this is some effect on everything, but
I'd be very surprised if there isn't research out on that somewhere. Very surprised. I think it's almost inevitable that if you Googled that, you'd find some research.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, what hasn't been researched?
Just like praying there, I mean, I don't think just because I can watch someone pray and their brain states change, that is actually, that's the cause. I wouldn't even say that God wasn't changing the actual things in their life because of it. I was just wondering if there was a correlation between the brain states.
Well, here's what we find at the Washington Post. Is that, wow, someone's typewriting. Wait a minute. Well, here's the article. You can plug away and save it. But there are some, at least this one said. Oh, wait a minute, it's not loading. It was just.
I don't know that I've ever looked at them, but I've heard of ones with praying and brain states.
They say brain activity associated with meditation is especially intense. That's what they're saying.
Mm.
But that's not like a physical as much as it is connecting back to the brain.
Right.
Beta waves, they're calling them.
Beta. Well, I know, like on a cellular level, you can see cells react to a person that's happy, to a person that's sad. Like they can have actually ill effects in their body from stress and such like that because of the way the chemicals are released. You can see their cells actually be damaged and things like that.
Wow.
Just from moods, but I don't know how even that's connected to a brainwave. I just know the moods can actually affect your cells.
Mm. There has been a slightly changing the subject, but sort of not really, because you're talking about how the brain can affect your actual physical beings. There's some research, I did have a link for it, but that was some time ago and I've forgotten, where they were looking at, I forget what the new term is, but yeah, multiple personalities, something of other disorder, I forget what it's called now, where when one person changes from one personality to another, it's like this, they have different prescriptions for their glasses because their eyesight changes. Or, I mean, there was one person who was in hospital having a really severe diabetes attack. Is that the right word? Having issues because of his diabetes. Then he switched personalities and was fine.
Right.
MPD?
What do you mean switched?
Yeah.
I know a lot of those.
If you've got multiple personality disorder, you have various personalities, and people have been known when they've switched from one personality to another, their physical things like their eyesight changes, or if one personality has diabetes and the other doesn't, and they're having a diabetes attack, being very ill because they haven't. They switch to another personality and they're fine.
I watched
that is absolutely mind-boggling, but also at the same time, it absolutely makes sense. I think that's the only thing that makes sense and doesn't make sense at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Isn't it a coping mechanism though when you find yourself with multiple personalities?
Sometimes.
Sometimes we don't really know enough about it to say that.
Yeah, it's a big debate. It's a big debate in that community that actually even exists.
Wow.
Well, that what exists? Multiple personalities?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Multiple personalities.
Well, they call it when they see people with different personalities. And personality 2 isn't even aware of personality 1, but vice versa. You know what I'm saying?
No. As a psychological disorder. Now, a neurological disorder, I don't think there's a debate, but a psychological disorder of it, I think there is.
Okay. I see. I wasn't thinking that way. Okay. Definitely, I agree.
Well, there's times where I wish I had another personality that would eat a little less.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Don't we all? Let's see. Whose personality type would I want? Let me think.
No, I watched something.
Has anybody here done any
about that? About someone having, I don't know, 2 or 3 different multiple personalities, and it was a girl. One of her personalities was actually her boyfriend, and 2 or 3 of them actually had different symptoms, and she was in the hospital. And to actually eventually get the diagnosis, not of the personality disorder, but what was actually killing her, they had to go through these personality disorders and get different symptoms from each disorder to actually come up with a diagnosis to treat her whole.
Wow.
Which was weird because some of the personalities weren't showing things like that, like heart issues, where one personality would have some kind of heart problem and the other one wouldn't. And
I believe that.
It was weird.
Something inside of me tells me believe that stuff is real. It happens. It's rare, but
then it goes back to a question that that you brought up then, which is how much of our physical health is indicative of our mental?
Yeah, that's kind of what they chalked it up to, was that it was psychosomatic, that a lot of it was her brain actually causing physical problems.
Yes, absolutely.
Could we say that for a lot of ailments that we have as people?
Most of them, yes.
Wow.
Yes, you'll hear every doctor say this. 70% of their patients don't need to be there. But it's money in their bank account, so they're not going to tell them, but they'll tell us. anonymously.
What, that it's all in their head?
Yeah, they would have 70% of their patients wouldn't need to see them because it's all in their head. Or
yeah,
they want to,
and it's not as easy as just it's all in their head. You tell them it's all in their head and make it go away. It's almost like it's hardwired into their head that way. It's almost like you can't tell. If we had a way to tell those parts of the brain, hey, you're the one actually causing the problems.
Yeah. Snap up, step up.
Right. We just don't have a way to do that.
How many diseases? I mean, cancer, heart disease, all these different things, if they're not part of like our society, part of all these different things that we deal with.
Yeah.
That's a way to meditate, relax, whatever. If this wouldn't alleviate more than you can do with traditional medicine.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
that link, I could say that link in the
Venus.
sidebar isn't the thing I was actually looking for, but it touches on it a bit. Sorry, carry on.
Cool.
No, pain is a big one, and they actually have checks for pain for that, and because through some of mine they went through, they do like nerve conduction studies and stuff where they pretty much jam needles in you and then run a current through the needles that are kind of close to each other, and whether you can feel it or not, they can see the responses of the nerves if they're actually responding to them and such, and so they can tell if your brain's actually creating the pain or if there is actually something there in the nerves or some damage actually to the cells or the nerves or whatever.
The situation I think of when we talk about these things is like there's this guy that had a lot of pain and morphine wasn't doing it, the normal stuff wasn't really doing it for him. I mean, it was doing it, but he didn't really want to be on it, for the relief. And he heard that someone had told him, or he read it, I forget how, that laughter is good medicine, just like the Bible says, and it will help. So he said, I'm going to give it a shot. So I probably got something like the Three Stooges or something. That's the story I heard. So, he got something that was funny, and he laughed a lot, and sure enough, he was able to get that pain level down to, tolerable levels that he didn't want to be on the actual meds anymore. And
Science actually agrees with that one because of the stuff that, like laughter and junk, will actually release from your brain.
So that's what's really going on with everybody smoking pot.
Right. and sorry, bro.
There's a disclaimer, though, everybody listening. There's a disclaimer. Pain can be a symptom of something more serious. So meditation and just laughter is not just going to let all the pains and ills go away.
I didn't mean to take you down that road, brother. I know I kept it going. Even I don't remember if I started it or not, but away from the meditation.
That's all right.
I'm a good derailer.
Wait a minute. That don't sound like derailing. Sometimes meditation may take a drug or alcohol.
Right. Well, yeah, and the psychosomatic thing it almost seems like as long as it's not an actual neurological disorder, some spot in your brain or something, that a meditation could work as a medication. I mean,
hey, I like that. Meditation as medication.
Cleared up.
Hey, Nick, did you hear what you said? You said meditation as medication. I love that.
Right. Yeah, right.
You remember
I've never thought of it that way, but until we got into that psychosomatic thing, that could be a possibility.
Anybody remember the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Yeah.
That movie?
Excellent book. That is absolutely excellent book.
Medication time. Medication time.
Always cracked me up.
So when troubles come along, you just go, just think meditation time. Meditation time.
I'd like to read that again. Actually, it's a good book.
At least we're not back in the time with the Thorazine shuffle all over the place. They think they're Napoleon? Give them some Thorazine.
Or if you're a woman who wants to actually do something more than be a housewife, you could have a lobotomy.
Yeah, you've got PMS.
We've come a long way in psychiatry. Still got a long way to go, but
that was the argument that I heard, and won't bring up the name, but everybody knows what I'm talking about. With the mental illness thing, used to be in the DSM, but so did PMS.
Yeah.
Womanly problems and stuff like
and
that.
homosexuality.
DSM as a mental disorder.
Welcome back, James.
Hello, James.
Thank
yeah,
you.
I think homosexuality. Oh, sorry.
James, I know you had to go.
Homosexuality was
Hold on. I know you had to go before, James. Any thoughts on meditation? You're about the only one here who hasn't.
Yeah, well.
Do you meditate? Let's ask you that first.
Yeah, there's see, a lot of what I learned of meditation kind of came from Kung Fu, although there is something to stillness, following your breath. There's also meditation in action. That there can be a point to where what you do is a form of meditation, like your actions themselves. There's a level of clarity. Yeah, I would support it. I kind of think of meditation as the opposite of prayer in many ways. I mean, we don't have this God that we can see and pray to, but when we pray, we're giving of ourselves to something greater, whatever it is. In meditation, that would seem to be the flip side, where we would be still and listen and absorb and see things for what they are first.
Can I hit on both those real quick? That's kind of what I was saying earlier, when some people will actually appeal to something outside of themselves, even when they're actually appealing to just another part inside themselves. But their perspective from them is that they're appealing to someone outside of themselves. Not saying that there's not someone outside of themselves, but that is helpful a lot too. And like you said with the Kung Fu thing of even there's meditation in action. That's actually what you've seen me stay calm in a lot of these argument hangouts that I've done, and that's a learned technique of almost a physical meditation, not just a constant quiet meditation. It's almost a self-control type medication that's learned.
Well, I mean, if you look even at the chakra system, there is something outside of us that dwells from within.
Right. I gotcha.
Yeah, James, I said the exact same thing. Meditation and prayer go hand in hand for me.
Yeah.
Prayer is just having, a conversation with God, but mostly it's you engaged in doing the talking, and then the meditation part is when you're being still and knowing He is God. Somebody quoted that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Be still and know I am God. And when that happens, it's like He speaks to you. I mean, James, it says, that's funny, James it says, if you lack wisdom, ask. And so many of us could do if we just ask. It's like, Lord, I don't know what I don't know in this situation, so can you explain it to me? And then just be still, right? And then here comes the meditation part. So if that's what you meant, James, I am all over that.
But in many ways, yeah.
To take it to the religious part a little bit, do you actually have to know, say you have the right God, do you actually have to know that God and know that you're actually talking to that God?
You know what? That is an excellent question. Nick. All right, I'll go first. I want to hear everybody's opinion on this. Here's my opinion. I've thought about this before. That is a question that Nick, you've never asked that question, I don't think.
No, I haven't, and I got to follow up.
Yes. Okay. So I don't know what I don't know, but here's my best opinion. So guys, if I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know. This is my opinion. So maybe James knows, or whoever else here might know. If you are not a Christian, if you're not a follower of Jesus Christ, if you're not born again, and you do biblical biblical laws, if you do them and follow them consciously or unconsciously, does God hear you, and does God answer your prayer? I think that was your question in a nutshell, sort of, kind of. Maybe added or a little subtracted from that.
No, that was good.
Okay. So here's my best answer. This is my best educated guess. Yes and no. Okay, wait, I could do better.
No. And my follow-up's not. That question's not a trick question because my follow-up.
No. I know it isn't. No, this is great.
No, I just wanted you to know my follow-up's not going to be like a counteractive question to no matter what you say.
Oh, Nick, I know you, brother. No, I don't expect that at all. So it's a great question. It's probably the greatest question ever asked in these, humble discussions about religion. I love it because here's what I have to say. First of all, from the yes part, yes, if you follow biblical principles and biblical laws, do the promises that come along with them for doing so, whether you know it or not, understand it or not, believe it or not, does that fall into place? Yes. Does it fall into place 100%? No. Because a child of God following these principles and laws will be blessed 100%. But even those who are not as kids, they'll be blessed a lesser percent. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, and at least you'd have a better perspective maybe of who you think's answering it rather than like me knowing how it was happening. My follow-up real quick, and it had to do with it, was you see those people, I forget the drug's name, that they make out of a tree bark down in Mexico, make some other places, that a lot of people will go and mix this up, make this crazy hallucinogenic drug, and within 4 days of being administered it by, I don't know that I'd call them doctors, but they get off heroin, and then they never actually have relapses to it. It's completely
talking about ayahuasca.
It's not just a detox. Say it again.
Ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca. There you go. That I almost would see that if the case is being made how I'm hearing it from everyone is that this ayahuasca not only kind of lowers your it's not that it lowers your inhibition, but it actually lowers some of the barriers in your mind to accepting and allowing some of these forces to help you. Whether you know what's helping you or who's helping you, if anybody's helping you, but it's allowing these things to come in and help you along with the detox, the actual physical detox. But you're not fighting whether it's a god or whether it's you or whether it's the drug. It almost puts you in a meditative state whether you want to or not.
Yeah, no, this is a great topic. That's a great question, Nick. I want to give everybody else an opportunity to answer it. I was just reading the side chat. Ermine,
and I'm not promoting that drug, by the way. I've seen it looks cool, and I love hallucinogenics over all other drugs, but I'm not promoting
I've heard some positive things about it, though. People have gotten a sense of clarity and awareness, that has changed their life.
Yeah,
Green Solstice can share with you as well as Cerberus. They've shared some of their experiences. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Go ahead, Idle. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, John.
I think it's a natural facility in human beings. I think that there is a greater facility of simply being human. And when I'm going to say divinity, I'm going to say with a capital D, with no descriptive or defining qualities about this thing. But I do believe that it is a natural function of the human psyche to, I want to say submit, that's not the word, but to reach for or aim for or look to something greater that exists in the world, whether it be internal or external, is irrelevant, in my opinion. I think there's something in the natural human psyche that...
Our worst enemy by putting up barriers, even subconsciously putting up these barriers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry again, Idol Smasher. I've cut you off like 3 times.
Nah, I guess I'm pretty much done.
You've just got me excited as you've talked because the things you say, it's making me think.
Yeah, Nick, you're right on with your thoughts. I love this topic. I cannot say it enough. If I say it another 3 or 4 times, you guys shall bear with me. Over on the side chat, administrator wrote, this is from the Bible. Now we know that God hears not sinners, but if any man be a worshiper of God and do his will, he hears him. Okay, so again, we have to take everything in context and we have to understand what is meant. So does God hear directly your prayers the way that he does a believer? No, of course not. But what I was talking about was biblical principles and biblical laws. In other words, if you treat everyone, if you follow the golden rule, treat everyone the way you want to be treated, do you see benefits from it? Absolutely.
Roy, that does not mean, Roy, that
when I thought there are physical cases in the Bible where God does does heal unbeliever, he just doesn't spiritually force them healed. Like he physically.
Absolutely, he healed unbelievers left and right in the.
Let me address.
Hold on. Let's not get a little sidetracked. But I think the point you're trying to make, Roy, point you're trying to make, is if I take a seed, an apple seed, no matter if I'm an atheist or a Christian or a deist, if I plant that seed, I'm going to get apples. It doesn't matter who's planting the seed.
Absolutely, yes, exactly. You don't have to be a believer to get apples.
Do you know what the odd thing is, though? You might not get the same apples as the apple you got the seed from, oddly enough.
Yes. Yes, it might not be as good. Yes.
And they won't taste nearly as good.
No. If you say if you've got Cox's pippins, and you only want to grow Cox's pippins, you don't take the seed. You graft from the tree. Sorry, it's a complete going. I'm taking an analogy. I'm not taking it literally. It's just. I'm distracting because that is the weird thing about apples.
Thanks a lot, Dee.
Is their seeds give you no guarantee of being the same breed of apple as you took the seed from. Weird thing. Anyway, sorry. Carry on.
Go ahead. Admin wanted to say something. Go ahead, Admin.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out this, Roy. You said something. I was listening on the outside. I actually disagree with what you just said, and I'm one to confront you on that behalf. I don't know if you meant to say that or you didn't. You said Nick asked the question, and I'm maybe not quoting exactly word for word what Nick said, but if I'm not mistaken, you said that Nick asked a question in regards of does God hear sinners even if they're not? Well, if a person's not saved, does God hear their prayer?
No. No, stop right there. No, stop.
Roy, not finished yet, Roy.
It doesn't matter if you're not. Okay, listen, Admin, stop talking.
Everybody else.
Wait, I'm gonna mute both of you now. Okay. Please. All right, we're kind of going a little bit off topic, and we can debate this in a little bit, but I don't want to have guys talking over one another.
Brother John, may I address one thing to you? If a brother in Christ is wrong about something, am I not supposed to address him?
Yeah, but do it in private or do it in chat.
The problem is we both know how that works.
Yeah, and he said in here just a little bit. You can, even if it's private or not. He just wanted to stay on topic for his hangout. His brother John's hangout.
I understand that. That's the reason why I was pointing that out to John. I wasn't pointing out anything to Roy.
Yeah, and when I say stop talking, that means stop talking. The reason why is because you're already wrong. So there's no need
Roy. Whoa, that's a bit much, Roy.
Roy, if I wanted to make it really, really aggressive, I would say something, but I'm not trying to keep this going.
Okay.
I'm trying to abide by the rules of the hangout, however, but you just said I could keep going. I'm not.
Okay, I'm going to ask everybody just to mute for a second, and right now get into a moment of meditation.
I'm in!
Right now.
In or is you out with the meditation?
Focus, Roy.
Focus, guys.
Oh, I think I needed some extra meditation today because I feel like I'm dealing with a lot of ADD today.
I'll bring it back on topic. So the topic was, Nick asked, listen, you guys, this is a wonderful topic. This is like, in my humble opinion, in 4 years, listen, in 4 years, one more time, in 4 years of me hanging out, Nick has asked the top question that I have never heard asked. That doesn't mean it hasn't been asked. I just never heard it asked in all these hangouts that I've ever been in. Nick, ask your question one more time because we really want people to embrace this. I don't think Armin heard it the way you explained it, but I'd love to hear her take.
Well, it sounds like Nick stepped away. Okay. I guess we'll wait for him to come back.
No, sorry. Yeah, what question were you talking about? The physically healing or spiritual healing thing?
Well, you were asking, you know, does even if you're not a believer, and Armin didn't hear the question. I was looking at the side chat, so she didn't hear you actually say it, but it was repeated to her. So if you could ask that, I'd love to hear her take on that. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah. Do even an unbeliever get these things, whether it's meditation or just asking whether they're praying to the right God or whatever? Do they still get these type of I guess mercy maybe or these healing things from God, even if they are outside of God? I guess not necessarily. I guess they'd be a sinner if they're outside of God, but does God still grant them these physical healings? And I tried to stay a little bit away from the spiritual healings, but like through meditation and stuff, does God still answer these things, even through meditation from an unbeliever? It's just I wouldn't know they were from God, and I wouldn't probably be saying, okay, God did this for me.
Plausibly, if he feels like it.
Right. Yeah. That's actually what I would probably get from Scripture on my own, was that God does what he wants.
Welcome, Tommy.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Tommy.
Hey, Brother John.
Hey.
Thank you for your hospitality. Thank you.
Oh, not a problem. Not a problem. You're always welcome. If you want to address that question further, but I was just, I think I didn't get your take on, do you meditate?
Well, depending on what the exact criteria for meditation is, and not trying to be slippery about it, yes, in various ways. Meditate, focus, breathe, try and breathe in a relaxed and paced manner. Yes.
And have you found benefits to it?
Yeah, it helps in mind management and emotion management, to reflect on certain truths or beauties of creation. I found it very helpful in emotion management, mind management, substance abuse management, sexuality management, bathing habits, and general good mental hygiene.
Yeah, right on.
Thanks for sharing that. And yeah, Roy, I know you do have a question, and I'm going to go off air with that because it kind of taken us a little off a topic. Because I think that's going to get into a little bit heated, and that's okay, but I want to do it off air. So if anyone else is listening, there's a link in the chat if you want to join. And I guess we're going to continue this topic about, God and answering prayers. But I hope you got something out of it as far as meditation, the benefits and ideas on how to meditate. Do what's most comfortable for you, what really brings the best benefit to you. I would say try different things out. We've mentioned music, we've mentioned scents, we mentioned being in nature and breathing and
following your breath.
And I think you did good, Brother John.
Yeah. So for those who are listening, thank you guys for participating, and we'll continue off air.
Yeah.